Okay, today we're going to talk about rounding. When we're rounding, we have to know what our place value is for the digits in those numbers to know how we're going to round it. In this case, this example that I made, I've got this 3-digit number and it's telling me to round to the nearest 100. Okay, so first I've got to establish which of these 3 digits is my hundreds digit. Okay, ones, tens, hundreds. It would be the 6. This is my hundreds digit. Okay, and because I'm rounding to the nearest 100, that's the one I'm going to underline. Okay, I've done that. Now what do I do next? I have to circle the number next to it, the neighbor. This 4 is going to be called the bossy neighbor. I'll explain why in a minute. So I have this 6. What I'm going to do is I'm going to draw an arrow, and I'm going to copy that 6 underneath, like that. On the right side of the number, I'm going to draw another arrow, and I say to myself, what number comes after 6 when I count normally? 6, 7. It's going to be 7. So 7 goes here. No, it's not a 5. Just because it's near the 5, that means nothing. This number is irrelevant. It means nothing. Just put the 7 down, like your regular counting. 6, 7. Because I'm rounding to the nearest 100, I know I'm dealing with 2 zeros. I'm going to put 2 zeros. Oh, sorry. I'm going to put 2 zeros on each side, like this. So in reality, I've got a 600 and a 700, okay? Now it's time for the bossy neighbor, the 4, to come into action, okay? There's a rule, I'm going to put right here. Okay? Now, you see I put 2 numbers down. I put a 5 and I put a 4. The rule is, if you ever notice the number line from 0 to 10, the 5 is somewhat in the middle, okay? That's going to be your guide. If the bossy neighbor is 5 or higher, you're going to go up. Notice I drew some clouds here. Think of it as 5 to the sky. 5 to the sky. If the bossy neighbor is 4 or lower, you're going to stay on the floor. Notice my arrow is going down, and I drew a line like a floor. 4 to the floor. So it's 5 to the sky, 4 to the floor. Okay? So now I go back to my number. I see that the bossy neighbor is 4. So which way am I going to go? Am I going to go up to the sky, or am I going to stay down on the floor? I'm going to stay down on the floor because that is a 4. So now I ask you, which one do I pick? 600 or 700? Of course, I'm going to pick 600 because that's the lower of the 2 numbers. And by the way, remember, because it's 4 to the floor, you're not going underneath the floor. This can't be less than 6. It's got to be 6 just like this is because you're staying on that ground you're already on. This doesn't change. Only this goes up. Okay? 6, 6. And because, once again, the bossy neighbor is a 4, you're going to stay down on the ground. 600. So 645 rounded to the nearest 100 is 600. We're going to do another example with the same number. I'm going to leave my rule up on the side there. Same number, but this time I'm going to round it to the nearest 10. I'm going to round this number to the nearest 10. So now my question is, which of these 3 digits is in my tens place? It's the 4. So what used to be the bossy neighbor in the first example is now the one I'm focusing on, the tens digit. But now notice what I do. I am not only going to underline the 4. I'm going to underline everything to the left of it. In this case, the 6. I'm going to underline both. I don't care if this number goes all the way miles away. You always underline the digit you're rounding to and everything to the left. Everything to the left, no matter what, okay? So, in essence, I really underlined a 64. So I'm going to put the 64 here. Don't forget, now I circle the bossy neighbor, which in this case is the 5. What do you think is going to go on this side? What comes after 64 when you count? 65. So the 65 is going to go here, right? So I've got a 64 and a 65. How many zeros are going to go on each side? I'm rounding to the nearest 10. It's got to be 1 0. So 1 0 on each side. So I've got 640, 650. Once again, what's the bossy neighbor? 5. So which way am I going to go? Am I going to fly to the sky or am I going to stay down on the floor? Well, it's a 5. I'm going to go high to the sky. I'm going up. So which one do I pick? 650 is correct. I picked the higher one, 650. 645 rounded to the nearest 10 is 650. Okay? Once again, you find the place value that you're rounding to. You underline that. Everything to the left if you need to. Circle the next door neighbor, which is the bossy neighbor. That dictates which way you're going to go. You're going to go 5 to the sky. 5 or higher goes up. 4 to the floor. 4 or lower stays down on the ground. Okay? And then you go from there. Okay? Feel free to replay this if you need to. Hope that helps.